So your fourth or fifth chapter of Edexcel IGCSE chemistry is known as the periodic table. ठीक है, so what do we know of periodic table? Obviously ये आपको elements show करता है, the types of element that basically exist on earth. How many? यहाँ पे आपको 118 नजर आ रहे हैं. Obviously they are aligned according to proton number, according to atomic number, according to mass number, increasing atomic number, aligned by the help of periods and groups. Periods और groups क्या क्या properties बताते हैं? We'll be covering this in this chapter. What do periods tell us? What do groups tell us? How can we differentiate between elements? कौन से metals हैं, कौन से non-metals हैं? Which part of them shows the transition elements? Which of them are noble gases? Their electronic configurations? All of them would be included in this chapter, which is known as the periodic table. So talking about basics of periodic table. क्या है arrangement of the periodic table की बात करें. Now we know that there are over 100 chemical elements which have been isolated and identified. Elements are arranged on the periodic table in order of increasing atomic number. Basically atomic number आपके पास क्या है? We have studied that it is the number of protons. ये क्या है? आपके पास number of protons है. Obviously boron has 5 protons. ठीक है, फिर आपके पास जैसे helium हो गया, helium has 2 protons. Hydrogen has 1 proton. So they are all, the number of protons is basically the atomic number. If I say that the number of protons in calcium are 20, so atomic number of calcium would be 20. क्या है ये? अगर आपके पास है, there are 20 protons in calcium. There are 20 protons in calcium. तो इसका क्या मतलब है? That the atomic number of calcium would be 20 और उसका mass number 40 होता है. So obviously it would be on the 20th position in the periodic table, because in the periodic table all the elements which have been identified in this world by scientists and explorers so far, they are all arranged according to their atomic number in order of the increasing atomic number. Each element has 1 proton more than the element preceding it. मतलब क्या है इसके? जैसे before calcium से बिल्कुल पिछला element आपके पास potassium होता है, which is having 19 proton, and after calcium we have scandium which has 21 proton. So each preceding it, before and backward, all of them have a difference of 1 proton in between. जैसे कि each element has 1 proton more than the element preceding it. So scandium is preceding calcium and it has 1 more proton than calcium. Scandium के 21 protons और calcium के 20 protons हैं. Now this is done so that the elements end up in columns with other elements which have similar properties. So obviously फिर ये चलते चलते periodic table is then aligned in column, groups, periods. आपके पास different metals अलग हो गए हैं, non metals अलग हैं, बीच में you have your transition elements as well. Now arrangement of the periodic table further अगर हम discuss करें, now the table is arranged in vertical columns which we call as groups, and it is also arranged in rows which are known as periods. अब ये periods क्या है? Now these periods, these are the horizontal rows that show the number of shell of electrons an atom has and are numbered from 1 to 7. For example, अगर मैं कहता हूँ कि मेरे पास एक element A है, that is in period 2, and I have an element B which is in period number 3. What does it indicate? कि जो A का shell होगा, A का जो atom होगा, that would be having 2 shells. But the atom of B would be having how many shells? 3 shells. हम यहाँ पे 3 orbits बना देंगे. It would be having 3 shells. So basically आपको period number क्या बताता है? अगर मैं यहाँ पे बोलूँ कि हाइड्रोजन है, या अगर मैं बात करूँ कि मेरे पास हीलियम है. Now helium for example is in period number 1. That means कि हीलियम का ये न्यूक्लियस है and it only has 1 shell, और उस 1 shell के अंदर ही उसके दोनों इलेक्ट्रॉन फिट आ जाते हैं. So the period number lets us know the number of shells of an atom. The number of shells of an atom of that element. कि उस atom के, उस element के atom के कितने shells हैं, और वो shells में क्या basically होते हैं? We know the 3 subatomic particles have their locations. जैसे कि protons हैं. Protons are present in the nucleus. Neutrons क्या होते हैं? Neutrons are also present in the nucleus. But the electron, the third type of subatomic particle, is present in the shells. जो हमने पिछले last chapter atomic structure discuss किया था, the 3 subatomic particles, their masses, their charges, and their location in an atom. तो shells में basically क्या चीज आती है? Inside the shells we have electrons revolving around the nucleus. For example, elements in period 2 have 2 electron shells, and elements in period 3 have 3 electron shells, Elements in period 4 would have 4 electron shells. So period number would help us in telling the number of shells of an electron an atom has, which are numbered from 1 to 7. Total number of periods कितने हैं? 7 in a periodic table. Second thing we have is groups. Groups are the vertical columns. Vertical columns क्या show करते हैं? That how many electron each atom has in the outermost shell. outermost shell के अंदर कितने आपके पास outer electrons हैं? For example, अगर कोई एक element A है, which is in group number 1, which means that in its outermost shell, I don't know how many shells it has, I don't know the period number, but the outermost shell would only have 1 electron. क्योंकि जो A था ये किस ग्रुप में था? It was in group number 1. Let's say an element B is in group number 4. इस group number 4 का क्या मतलब है? Let's say I don't know what is the period, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं पता कि क्या पीरियड है इस शेल का. Let's say इसका पीरियड नंबर 3 है, एक एलिमेंट B है, इसका पीरियड 3 है और ग्रुप 4 है. Now what can we determine about this element? पीरियड 3 का मतलब है it has 3 shells. 1 2 3. कितने shells हैं? 3 shells हैं. First shell, second shell, third shell. And what does the group number indicate? कि जो आपका outermost shell है, which means the third shell, क्योंकि इसका outermost shell जो है वो third shell है. The third shell would be having how many electrons? 4, because the group number is 4. तो basically आपको group क्या बताता है? एक चीज हम term देते हैं of the outermost electrons को एक नाम देते हैं, which is known as valence electron. The outermost electrons are also known as valence electron. Valence electron हम किसको कहते हैं? The very outermost electrons of an atom. So these are the vertical columns that show how many outer electrons each atom has, and they are numbered from 1 to 7 with a final group called group 0. So group 8 को group 0 भी कहा जाता है because they are the noble gases. उनका जो outermost shell होता है वो क्या है? That is actually complete. ना वो react करते हैं, ना वो lose करते हैं electrons, ना वो gain करते हैं. They are noble gases, unreactive हैं, inert हैं. ठीक है, inert means unreactive. We also call them group 8 noble gases या फिर group 0 का नाम भी दिया जाता है. Now, for example, group 4 elements have atoms with 4 electrons in the outermost shell. मतलब उनकी 4 valence electrons होंगे. Valence, again I am repeating, means outermost. Moreover, group 6 elements have atoms with 6 electrons in the outermost shell and so on. You can see over here कि आपके पास ये जो horizontal columns हैं, we call them periods, और जो आपके पास vertical columns हैं, इनको हम क्या कहते हैं? We call them groups. For example, अगर मैं बात करूं zinc की, if I take zinc for example, now zinc किस period में आता है? Zinc is in period number 4 और group इसका आपके पास 1 2 3. Okay, this is a transition element. Let's take another element. We'll talk about calcium. ठीक है, calcium की बात करते हैं. Now calcium is in period number 4 and in group number 2. इसका क्या मतलब है? That it would be having 4 shells, and group 2 indicates that it is having 2 electrons in the outermost shell. मतलब कि 2 electrons in the 4th shell. Total shells आपके पास कैल्शियम की कितने हो जाएंगे? 4. उसके बाद अगर आपको when we talk about the scientific notation, how do we write a scientific notation? This is the calcium. कैल्शियम का जो प्रोटॉन नंबर होगा that would be written down, atomic number, number of protons, और जो ऊपर होंगे that would be mass number. अगर न्यूट्रॉन्स निकालने तो we know that it is mass minus proton, तो आपके पास न्यूट्रॉन्स भी 20 ही हो जाएंगे. If we talk about the previous learning जो हमने atomic structure में की थी. Just a second, I have a call. Next we have is electronic configurations. Electronic configuration हमने basic idea लिया था that how do we write it for an element. Before proceeding towards electronic configuration, let me show you a small video.